now. So I want to welcome you and welcome our special guest, Kelly Roughton. Kelly.
Roughton, yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kelly. Kelly is a healing journey co-pilot. She uses emotional freedom techniques, EFT, and a host of other tools to help navigate life's journey with less stress and more ease. Kelly will share her experiences with EFT, demonstrate the technique with us, and answer your questions about EFT. This part of the meeting is in response to the needs you expressed during the February 20th meeting and will be recorded and posted on our website. So with that, we are recording, and I'm going to turn this over to Kelly.
Thank you very much, Bethany. And I'm very happy to be here tonight. Very excited to, join this group and share this tool with you all, because I love this tool. I used to be one of those people with the hamster in the head, constantly telling me negative stuff, either about myself or the world, or questioning everything that was going on. And I simply don't have that hamster anymore, because I've applied this tool regularly. I admit that I'm a little bit, I might have done a lot in the very beginning. And I always kind of explain it that I had felt that I had a mountain of things to work on when I first started, and nothing was distinct, and I just tapped on everything and anything because there was so much to tap on. And as time has gone on, it's like the mountain has gotten smaller and smaller, and the major structures that came out of it that were clearly the framework of beliefs and I would say childhood neglect, but not in a malicious way, just the different things that happen to everyone, parents that are overworked, stressed, things like that, have, I've worked through so much of that so many of my relationships have changed and grown. And my relationship to my body, my relationship to pretty much everything on the planet has really, really evolved and changed over time, just by applying this really simple tool daily. And you don't have to do it daily. You can do it as much as you need. For me, I just get a little bit overexcited by new tools, and I use them excessively. So that's kind of it for me. I now I'm a facilitator of workshops. I do every 3 times a month. I offer an online tapping group for people to just come in and use it, and just to get into the habit of using it as much as possible, because the more you use it, it really, you can apply it to almost anything. That's one of the taglines, is try it on everything. So whatever your situation, whatever it could be, a physical sensation, it could be an emotion that you're having, or it could be a repetitive thought that's going through your mind. It can be pretty much applied to any of those things. So that's kind of it for me. So I think I'll just take you through the tapping itself, because nothing speaks for EFT like the doing it. So it's hard to explain. It's based on the ideas behind Chinese medicine. So what we're tapping on is acupressure points, and not the chakras, though some of them may correspond to chakras. So I don't know, has anyone ever seen or done EFT before? I think Bethany told me a few people did. Yeah, so that's cool. So I don't know how often you do it or how much you do, but and what I'm going to show you is kind of, I'll call it my version. It's because I'm going to keep it very general tonight, because we don't have a lot of time, so we can't get into any issues. And there's also a group, so they may or may not correspond. So I'm just going to use a symbol that everyone can use to do the tapping on, because we have to kind of aim it at something. I always consider it kind of a gun of some kind, and if you aim it at something specific, the more specific you are, the better it works. But you can use it in a general way to take the top off of the problem, to bring the intensity down. I kind of consider it like the volume on your negative emotions, like you can turn the volume down on whatever is going on for you. So I'll just start by showing you the points, and I ask you to tap along so that, you know, I can sort of see if you've got them. So the first point is on the side of the hand. It's like, we used to call it the karate chop point, but that's really not PC. So we just call it the side of the hand right now. And it's the fleshy part at the side of your hand. And you're tapping with one hand on the other. Just as many fingers as you can, doesn't matter. And then the second point that I'm going to use is on the top of the head. I think I'll take my glasses off. And it's pretty much like kind of in the center. And you can tap around, you can tap flat, you can tap whatever is comfortable for you. Because it's acupressure points, so they're kind of like, they're just like one tiny point. So we're kind of just stimulating the whole area. And then the next point, and it does look a little crazy, all of it, but I assure you that it works. So the next point is like if you put your finger beside your nose and you hit your eyebrow bone, the bone where your forehead bone there, that's where the point is. And I often tap on both sides of the face because it's good for the brain. We're using both sides of the brain when we do that. But, you know, if you're driving or something, you can use one hand. And then the next point is side of the eye. So it's if you just slide around your eyebrows right down to beside the eye, not too far back. You're not in the temple and you're not too close to your eye either. It's pretty much the bony part right there beside the eye. And the tapping is gentle. It's not forceful in any way. You're just stimulating, because we're working with energy here, okay? The idea behind this whole thing is that there's a blockage in your energy system that you can feel as an emotion or a physical pain or things like that. And by doing the tapping, you're kind of, I call it emotional Drano. But as you're tapping, it's cleaning out, it's sending some Drano down into your meridians and cleaning them out. And the next one is under the eye, and it's pretty much here on the top of the cheekbone. But again, not too close to the eye. It's always very comfortable. And it's also very forgiving. I know people who tap like the wrong points consistently and they still work. So don't be too worried about it. And the next point would be under the nose. It's pretty much in the indentation there. And if you have nails that are too long or something, you can tap sideways, whatever works for you. And the next point is between the lip and the chin. We call it the chin point, but it's really just under the lip. Again, in the indentation there. And the next point would be the collarbone point. So the idea is to find that little indentation at the bottom of your neck and go down a couple of centimeters and over a couple of centimeters. And again, it's very forgiving. So you can kind of just tap anywhere in that area. And there's other ways to do it. You can just do it flat, which, you know, that's a typical self-soothing thing, right? Is that we go like, and it's those points in there. Or like this with your fingers like this, whatever way is most comfortable to you. So I'm just noticing, Willie, your finger should be down a little bit. Perfect. Perfect. And then the final point that I'm going to show you today is under the arm. So what I usually do is put my hand in straight under the arm. And then here, now I have lymphatic congestion there, and some people do and some people don't. But that's how I know I'm on the point. But mostly if you just take your hand flat and you whack it under there, you're good to go. Okay. So those are all the points, and I'm going to continue to tap along with you as we do this. So the idea is to take an issue, take a problem that you have, and I'm going to try to do this very generically so that no one gets too triggered or anything like that. So please try to pick an issue, preferably something that's more recent, something that's upsetting you, making you uncomfortable, or even a thought that you have or a physical sensation that's uncomfortable. And what we're going to do is put it in a box. So first, just tune in a little bit to that issue. Now, we don't want something that's up. My scale is from 0 to 10, 0 being no emotion about it, no sensations, nothing, and 10 being like the worst ever. So that's my scale. And so what we're looking for is something that's around a 6, no higher than a 7, something that triggers you to that level of distress, or that there's a pain in your body maybe that's got that level. So just pick something. Again, we don't want any parental issues here or major trauma. And we're going to take that problem, whatever it is. Has everybody pretty much got something? I can only see a few of you. You got something? Okay. So just put that in the box and just notice the size of the box, how big the box has to be, maybe what it's made of, what material, how it's closed, what color it is. And also, so what is your level from 0 to 10? What level of intensity, either of physical pain or emotional distress? You know, can you name the emotion that's involved? Feel free to write that down, or at least to note what the number is before we start. Just, note it in your head. Write it down if you like, but and then we're just going to do a very general round of tapping on the box. I'm going to just check the time here. I don't know when I started, or how much time we've got, Bethany, but I'm going to do a round or two, hopefully, and then open it up to questions to see if, is that okay? All right. All right. So we're going to start by tapping on the side of the hand. And if you want to mute yourselves or not, as you like, I'm going to say some words and I'm going to ask you to repeat them either out loud or whatever you like. I think it's better to say them out loud just to be really present with it, but it's not a huge deal if you don't. So even though I have this box, and there's something in it that's uncomfortable, that's okay. I'm working on accepting myself and accepting the box. And then we're going to go to the top of the head. This box, I'm noticing the size of the box. On the side of the eye points, I'm noticing the color of the box. Under the eyes, I'm noticing what the box is made of. Under the nose, this box that contains my issue. And the chin point, this box that contains my issue. And the collarbone, this box. And under the arm, this box. And all it contains. And then we're just going to take a breath. Yeah, and if you have water, it would be good to take a sip. Or any liquid. And now just take a look at the box, not what's inside it, but just the box itself. Notice if the box has changed size, or if your emotions toward the box have changed, or the color has changed, or the material it's made of seems any different. Just notice that. And I do want to say that because we're doing something very general here, some of you may not get a shift on it, but I'm hoping you'll get a little something. So just tune into that new box. I'm just going to ask Bethany how we're doing on time here.
We're doing great, Kelly.
Okay. So maybe I'll do I have time to do like a couple of more rounds like that? They're fairly quick. So as you can see. Hey,
Yes.
kitty.
Yes, that'll be fine.
All right. All right. So just tune into your box. And if the thing inside is too intense, don't tune into that at all. Just notice the box. And we're going to do another round on the box. Tapping on the side of the hand. Even though I still have this box and all it contains, that's okay. I'm learning to accept myself and to work through what's in the box. On the top of the head, this box and all it contains. Eyebrow. I'm just noticing the color of the box. Side of the eye. Just noticing the size of the box. Under the eye. Just paying attention to the material it's made of. This box. Under the nose. This box. With my issue in it. Chin point. This box with my problem in it. Collarbone. Taking into account this box. All the elements of this box. Under the arm. This box and all it contains. It might be safe to let some of it go. And again, take a breath. I do want to take a second to mention that if you are, there are many things to show that you're actually having a release. So one of the big ones is big, deep breaths, sighing, burping, gurgling stomach, sometimes just tears coming out, just eyes watering, lots of different ways for the body to show that it's releasing some of the stuff that's coming up. So if you notice that happening, like I myself, I didn't even specifically intend to work on something, but I had a little bit of a burp come up at one point. So just take a breath and then tune into your box again. And just notice the box, its color, its size, what it's made of. Are you noticing anything different about the box? Has it evolved at all? And notice if you were, I don't know how high your number was, but just notice if you're noticing it starting to come down a little bit. Sometimes it can drop quite dramatically and other times not. Again, it depends. So the more specific we are, the better it is. So clearly working one-on-one is always a better option. But sometimes the group energy can be really quite powerful to move things. So just tuning into your box, again, noticing what's left, what remains to be, has it changed color again? And we'll do one last round on it. And is that okay, Bethany? We have time? All right. So tapping again on the side of the hand, tuning into your box. So even though I still have some things remaining in this box, that's okay. I'm really doing the best I can with the tools that I've got at this moment, the resources that I have at this moment. Top of the head, this box I have. Eyebrow, this box that contains this issue, this one specific issue. Side of the eye, this box. Under the eye, this box is not me. It's part of an experience. Under the nose, this box, and all that I've made it mean. Chin point, this box, its color, size, and shape. Collarbone, this box and all it contains. All I've put in it. Under the arm, it might be safe to let more of it go. Another breath. And more drinking if possible. Thank you, Andrea, for the feedback. So I just have you all tune into the box again a final time. And just notice if it's okay to open up and look inside the box. Just notice if what's inside remains the same as when we started, or if it seems a little different. If there's been any shift. And just what your number might be on it, either in intensity, if it was, anywhere between 0 and 7 earlier, and maybe some of them went up. Sometimes they go up before they come down again. Sometimes when we, like I call it the Band-Aid, we rip the Band-Aid off and we expose the wound. But as we keep tapping, we keep clearing and cleansing the wound and healing it. So sometimes it can be a little bit surprising what can come up in the beginning. We feel like we're kind of okay with something, and then whoops, all of a sudden it pops up bigger than we expected. And then as we keep tapping, it comes down generally. So just notice your number where you're at now compared to when you began. And I'd be happy if people want to share, if that's okay, if we have time for that. Otherwise, we can go straight into any questions that you might have about it.
Oh, I think sharing would be great, Kelly. I know Andrea shared a little bit, so let's look at what Andrea shared, and then whoever else wants to share. Andrea said in the chat, "Thanks so much, Kelly. My box was gray steel, and after just a few points tapping, it became yellow and orange straw, and the light came through. Thank you all. See you next time, Andrea."
Nice.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's wonderful. Yeah. Beautiful.
Anyone else want to share? Or ask questions of Kelly?
Well, I was busy taking notes because I wanted to share it with a friend of mine that's working with a specific issue. But I'd never done it before with using the box. And so I like that. I like using the box, but I'm just curious how that came about, because I know it used to, I mean, it's been quite a few years since I've really done it, but it was more just working on the, like, I still love myself, even though I have this or that, I still love myself. And so I kind of remember doing it that way, but I'm just curious where the box thing came from.
I use symbolism a lot. The box technique, I think, is a very old technique. It may even come from NLP or something like that.
Oh, I did
originally.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's you can use almost any symbol. Like once in one of my tapping groups, like in the beginning of the month, I used a shoe, and people totally connected with the shoe image. And one was she wanted to run away, so she had running shoes on, and we were tapping on the running shoes. And it can give you really great insight sometimes, actually. It's surprising, so you can use pretty much any symbol. When you're working one-on-one, it's probably better to go into the actual event that happened or the specifics. But because we're working in a group and I don't want to over trigger anybody, I use any symbol that comes to me. And in this particular one, the easiest one is the box, because everyone can usually, visualize enough to put things in a box and just leave it with that. So yes, Willie.
Kelly, I was introduced to this about 16, 17 years ago. And I noticed we use two hands with you. I was taught with one.
Yeah.
And do you think that with two hands, there's more of a powerful sense or reaction than just with one?
I don't know if there is really, because honestly, everything works. That's what I found. Like if you see it on the internet, a lot of people are doing different points, mostly similar points, but sometimes they do different ones. And some people are really specific about, you must do this point. And I'm like, nah, they all work. So what I like about as I said, I think I mentioned in the beginning, what I like about doing both sides is that you're actually stimulating both sides of your brain. So it kind of brings in that extra thing. I don't know if it's better or not. I just have a tendency to do it that way because someone explained that we were stimulating both sides of the brain, and I thought that sounds like a good thing to do. But again, if you're, driving or something and you want to tap because you have road rage, you don't need both hands. I'm very, very flexible. I find the technique super flexible, and I'm flexible in how I apply it and who what I think people should and shouldn't do. Whatever makes you do it, do that. To me, it's about application. As long as you're doing it, that's the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Lori. Yeah.
Hi, Kelly. Thank you. This was the first time I've ever tried doing that. When I started, my box was very big and it was red. And it had an onion in it, which I don't like onions.
Okay.
They don't like me. I don't like them.
Okay.
But I did notice the size of the box got smaller. The outer shell of the box almost seemed to get covered with felt, and it changed from red to green to yellow. And I did notice my number go from a 7 to a 5. So this was very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Thank you.
Well, and you can continue to tap on it. You can keep tapping this. All you have to do is go in a circle with the points and noticing the box, and it will continue to evolve probably. All right. What's interesting that you bring up the onion, because that is kind of how we describe when something is a problem for us, that there are layers to it. Right? Like if we had an event with a colleague or something and we're upset with them or they're upset with us, we might notice, I'm noticing the person's eyes and how they're staring at me. So we would tap on that one aspect of this person's eyes and how they were, jamming into us or whatever, however we're perceiving it. And as we release that layer, another layer of the onion comes up, and then we keep going layer by layer. So bringing each little aspect up to be healed until there's hopefully at the end, no onion left. Right? Now, I don't know if you could ever get rid of your issues with the onions, but you definitely could bring it down. Like I used to be very sensitive to the smell of coffee. I don't drink coffee and I don't like coffee, and it's very bitter to me. But now when I smell it, because I did some tapping on my reaction to the smell of it, I just notice it, but it's not a notice and like feeling aggressed by the coffee, which is what my sensation was beforehand.
All right. Interesting. Thanks so much. Thank you.
My pleasure. Are there any other questions or comments?
I'll add something. When I first started with my box, it was a Chinese food takeout box. And it was just, but it was brown. It wasn't white. I've always gotten, they've always been white boxes, but it was a brown cardboard box, and it had my issue inside it. And as I went through the tapping, by the time I got to the last sequence of tapping, instead of being a large container, it was a little tiny box, and it had a red ribbon on it. And I opened the ribbon and looked inside, and it was just ashes in there.
Okay.
So I was delighted by that. That was great.
Right. So if you tune back into the original issue, is that what it feels like? That there's not much emotion left toward it?
Yeah, well, it's something that my issue is fear of failure. Always worried that I'm going to fail.
Right, that's a big one. Okay.
So I tried to like narrow it down. So, but I didn't get very far. I just decided I'll just put my fear of failure in the box. So whatever it was that I was trying to, maybe it's running a successful meeting. That's in ashes now. So
right, it's already done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's resolved.
All right, wonderful. So I love the evolutions of the boxes. They're always so fun.
Yeah, I love the idea of shoes, and I love the idea of putting an onion in the box of food that you can't eat, or a color that challenges you, or a sound, or something that for whatever reason, disturbs you, doesn't give you peace.
Right. Well, the onion was actually representing a person who's causing me some strife, and it got smaller. So that was good.
So we had a representation and a representation.
Yeah.
So that's interesting though that it came up as the onion, because for me there's bound to be many layers of that person and what strife they're causing you. So if you could work on each little thing that came up about, what that's, and to be honest with all of you, often the today people that are irritating us, they do go back to childhood. So ideally we work, like I often say, we're usually looking at the lake of today, and it's got lots of plastic bags in it and garbage and stuff, and we can clean those out. But if we do not clean them out of the source lake, which is above, and it may be many layers above, then it won't stay clean. Whereas if we can go back and clean up our childhood trauma and any major, youth trauma, and clearly some of you may have traumas related to much more later in your life, that if you don't clean that up, the lake is going to continue to get polluted. Does that make sense? Unfortunately. but it can be done, and it's an absolutely hopeful thing that we can still we can clean out events and experiences from the past, even though they are not present today. And even those people may be gone, but we can still clean them out because they're living within us, these things, right? We are keeping the memory alive within us. If they're still affecting us today, then that is proof that we can just have to heal ourselves, and that can heal what actually happened. We can put things, because sometimes the problem with these things is that there is a lot of emotion to them, and they stay present. But if we remove the emotion from them by doing the tapping while being in touch with that memory or those experiences, then often what we're doing is turning it into a black and white TV, right? And instead of it being this in color, in our face kind of thing, we can then, that helps us to actually put it in the past where it belongs, rather than having it still showing up in our lives today. So that's been my experience of it. Laura, you had a question, yeah?
Yeah, I have a question. What is the science behind this? Like you talked a little bit about affecting both sides of the brain. And the other thing I noticed was a huge lymphatic drainage.
Yeah.
as we did it. So physically, what might be happening here?
I don't actually know, except that the only thing, like, and I can send you like a woman who does tons of science on it. There is a lot of science behind it now. I'm just not a sciencey person, because to me, I do it and it works, and I go, okay, this stuff works. So I don't ask myself too much more than that. However, I can send the link to Bethany of the place where we can find the science, if for those who are interested in that stuff. Okay, so you can look it up. There is a lot of double blind or whatever studies now being done. Especially there's a woman in Australia her name is Peta Stapleton, and she's amazing at running the science behind it and getting lots of stuff done there. So I can send that to Bethany, and so you can all, check that out. But I do know what we don't know the exact mechanism of how it's doing it, but what I do know is it seems to be sending a calming signal to the amygdala in the brain, right? Your fear center, that's the alarm center that goes off. And in doing that, then the whole body can relax, right? So that would make sense for the lymphatic drainage, right? It's like the body saying, oh, okay, I'm in rest and relax now. I don't need to be on alert. And so everything can just flow. And the immune system can come back online, and we can begin to, clear things that way.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Kelly, thank you so much for your time tonight and for going through this exercise with us. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I love sharing my tools.
That's great. And I will, anything you send, I will forward it to our group. And I'm just going to stop our recording now, because we're going to go into the next two steps, which are not recorded. So Kelly, thank you so much, Kelly Roughton, for joining us tonight. And your website is available to us, and I'll put it in the caption on the video as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. I'm going to leave you as well, because this is, kind of your private space. So I respect that, and hope to see some of you again. Feel free to join any of my tapping groups that, they're free and online. And I just ask for a donation from anywhere from $500 to $500, whatever you can afford.
Okay. Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone.